Maximizing our Social Security benefits is a big deal, especially since for many people, their Social Security benefit will be the largest source of guaranteed income that they will receive for the rest of their life. So when we claim really does matter. Do you realize that if you claim at age 62, you only get 70% of your benefit? But if we wait to age 70, we get 124% of our benefit. That's the difference of, for average, $1,350 every single month. But sadly, only 10% of all people are planning to wait until age 70, but many, many more should be and would benefit if they would wait to age 70. In this video, I will explain. So even though we know that only 10% of all people are going to go ahead and start their Social Security at age 70, I really believe that many, if they knew the items that we're going to cover today, would reconsider that, and instead of taking early or even at full retirement age, they may decide to go beyond 70. So let me share with you the 4 critical issues that you must be aware of to make sure you're making the right decision. So the first issue is this: Social Security benefits, of course, can be reduced if we take before our full retirement age, and they can be increased if we take after. The reduced benefit, of course, is permanent, but so is the increased benefit called delayed retirement credits. We'll look at that in detail. Second item would be this: limited earned income before full retirement age. So I've met plenty of people that have decided to go ahead and take Social Security early, and they continue to work, and they don't realize the great impact that is going to have upon their Social Security check. And so again, if we're going to keep working, then it's usually best to go ahead and wait to at least full retirement age, or maybe even beyond as well, as we'll see. And then also today's life expectancy. I'm going to show you some numbers today, and this is really what it boils down to. None of us know for sure when we're going to pass away, but if we have an average life expectancy, and if we can go ahead and survive on our regular income without taking Social Security, then you'll see that it's very beneficial because of today's life expectancy to wait to age 70. And number 4, the 95% of survivor Social Security benefits that are paid out are actually paid out to women. That's a staggering number, which means what? We know that most women are going to outlive men, so that means that when you make this decision to take your Social Security early and you pass away, that is going to have an impact upon your spouse if that spouse has less of a Social Security benefit. All right, so let's look at the details of this issue number 1, and that is the fact that when we take Social Security, if we take early, reduction benefit for life, or if we wait and delay, then we can increase those benefits. Okay, so just real quick, let me just show you the full retirement age chart in case you're not real familiar with this. But anyone born between 1943 and 1954 has a full retirement age of 66 and 0 months. Then the government began to every year add 2 months to everyone's full retirement age. So anyone born in 1955, full retirement age is 66 plus 2 months. 1956, they added 4 months. 1957, they added 6. 1958, they had 8. 1959, they added 10 months. And then anyone born that is 1960 thereafter had a full retirement age of 67. All right, so that's the range right now. Now, to keep this simple, as we talk about reduced benefits or increased benefits, let's just take someone that has a full retirement age of 67 years old. Many of you today watching this, that would be you. So if we have a full retirement age of 67, and we say our benefit, let's say it's on about average about $2,500 a month. So what happens if I take early, I actually can take as early as 62, but every year I take early, I lose 6%. And so if I take 5 years early, I'm going to lose a full 30% of my benefit, which in this example, if that was my full retirement age amount, then I'm going to lose a full $750 every single month. And that my benefit would be $1,750 a month. And again, that reduction is going to be permanent. Now, if I wait and go beyond, we call those delayed retirement credits, I actually can grow that up until age 70, and I can grow that a full 24%. Okay, 24%, which is 8% every year, so that would be the 3-year period. So I can actually grow that account an additional $600. So that means my check at age 70 would be $3,100. And my whole point is this. Sometimes people want to take early because they want that money, but they oftentimes don't realize, hey, that's going to cost you a substantial amount of money, because in that period of time, we grew that check by $1,350, and over a lifetime, that can add up very, very quickly. Okay, so the point is, when we make this decision, we got to realize early, it's permanent. If we wait, it's also going to be permanent. So we have to make this decision not based upon just my current situation, but how long do I think I'm going to live? Hey, if you found this video helpful and if you want to see more Medicare information just like it, then go below, right below the video, and you can give us a thumbs up as well as subscribe to our channel. And every time I put a new video, which is about 2 every week, you'll be notified of that video, and others just like you who need this vital information will get it as well. All right, that brings us into issue number 2. As I said earlier, I've had plenty of people that I've met in my career that did not realize that if they take Social Security before their full retirement age and they continue to work, it's going to have an impact upon their Social Security benefit. And that's why some people say, well, I don't get my first Social Security check until April. I've met people that didn't get their first check until July. And what they don't realize is that is not helping them to take their Social Security early whatsoever. So let's go through this whole issue of this limited earned income. Now, earned income means wages that you're getting from work. Could be W-2 income. It could be 1099 commission income, those kinds of things. So it's employee wages, either self-employment wages or you work for someone. That's called earned income. And that earned income is actually going to be tested. And so we call that the earnings test. And until you hit your full retirement age, which in our example earlier was at 67, you are going to be limited to how much money you can make through your working wages. Okay, so let's go through and kind of explain the formula here. So first off, let's do an example. Let's say that someone is born today. I'm shooting this video. It is 7/23. 2024, of course, but let's say this person was born in 1959, which means they turned actually 65 today. They were eligible for Medicare this month of July. But let's say that is our date of birth. Now, we know their full retirement age is going to be 66 plus 10 months, right? So we know July 23rd of 2025, they're going to be 66, but we got to add 10 months to that. So how do we do that? Well, we start adding this way: August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So that means this person with this date of birth, 7/23/1959, would have a full retirement age year and month of 5/1 of 2026. Right? 5/1/2026. That would be their full retirement age month and year. So if they take Social Security anytime prior to that, prior to reaching their full retirement age, now their Social Security benefit is going to be impacted. They can only make so much money. So let me explain that. So let's go back to this birth date. We know that this person could have started their Social Security as early as 62, which means they could have started 7/1 of 2021. 7/1 of 2021 would have been the first time they were eligible to take Social Security. And if they did, from that point here all the way up until, now watch this, up until December of the year prior to turning their full retirement age. So they turned 5/1/2026, so the year December would be 2025. So all the way through 12/31 of 2025, they can make very limited amount of money. We call this the low earnings test. Low earnings test. And this year, if that was this year they were taking, that's $23,320 for the whole year. It's an annual amount. Okay, it's a year. So what happens if I make above that amount? For every $2 I make above, they take $1 out of my Social Security check. And so let's suppose that somebody is above, let's say $10,000. And so that means for every 2 above, they take $1 out. So if I'm above 10,000, they're going to withhold $5,000 of my Social Security checks before they turn on my Social Security. So for every 2 above, they take out 1. And so basically what I'm penalized. Now, eventually, you're going to get that $1 back. It's not going to be a lump sum, but they will recalculate your benefits at full retirement age, including that amount that they actually have been withholding because of the earnings test. And so all I'm trying to teach you is we have this very, very low amount. So if we're going to be way above that, why do we want to take our Social Security? You want to continue to delay that. Then what happens is this earnings test amount changes. We call this the high earnings test, okay? And this changes the year we turn. So we had someone here, 5/1 of 2026. So what that would mean, this high amount would be 1/1 of 2026, watch, all the way up until the month before here. So all the way through 4/30 of 2026, they have a high amount. And that high amount this year is $59,520. And for every $3 they make above that, they take $1 out. So the penalty is substantially less and the money is much more. So if someone's going to turn it on and they're still working, this may be a better time to do it. But again, if they don't need the money, then what happens is this earnings test, watch this please. The earnings test, once I hit my full retirement age, goes away. I have an unlimited amount. I'm not subject to any kind of limitation whatsoever. So if we're going to keep working, it's best to at least go to full retirement age because of the fact of this earnings test, okay? So that is issue number 2 that you must bring in to this equation to decide when you're going to turn on your Social Security benefits. All right, that brings us then to issue number 3, and that is today's life expectancy. And again, these numbers change a little gradually every single year, but these are the new numbers that are out as far as average life expectancy, which means there's a 50% chance that someone will live to this age. Some will die before, and of course, some will live beyond. So right now, our life expectancy for a lady that actually makes it to age 65. So she's made it to 65. There is a 50% possibility that she makes it to 87, okay? Which means what? She's going to live another 22 years. Now, watch this stat. It's interesting that almost 34% of all ladies are actually going to live beyond age 90 and beyond. Okay, so over more than 1 out of every 3 are going to have a very long life. Now, when it comes to men, a little bit lower, but if a man makes it 65, average life expectancy for him would be 84 years old. Okay, a 16% chance that a man will live 90 and beyond. And so the reason this matters is because if I decide to take my Social Security early and I have this kind of a life expectancy, what happens? Well, then I've hurt myself. In other words, I got my money earlier, but I got less, and that's going to be that permanent reduction. So we have to be thinking, do I expect to have average life expectancy or beyond? Now, there are some times, in fact, I have a brother-in-law that's decided already he is going to take his Social Security right at 62. He's not quite there, but he's close. Why? He was a commercial roofer, had some health issues and has some health issues now. So he thinks, I probably won't even live to be age 80. Well, not a bad decision that he's making. But if you have longevity in your family, mom and dad live to maybe be in the mid-80s or above, or 90 or above, then there's a high likelihood, if you're fairly healthy right now, that you will live to these kind of years. And so that we got to be thinking long-term when we make this decision. Now, here's a very interesting stat that I thought I'd share with you. I found this interesting in my research. And this is showing 2 people. And what this is actually a study that was done in Finland. And here's what they did. They did a study among 2,500 athletes. And from short athletes and long athletes. And it was very simple. These were actually cross-country skiers. And these were actually basketball players. And the difference, of course, is what? Is their height. And I think the difference on average was about 6 inches in height difference between the average cross-country skier and the average basketball player. But here's what's, I'm fascinated by this. Those that actually are shorter in Finland had a 7-year additional lifespan. So what's that mean? It means that if you're short, you may even be living beyond these particular years. All right? And so we don't know our life expectancy. But again, you look at your health, you look at your family, history, and all those kind of things going on and say, do I think there's a high likelihood that I am going to live at this life expectancy or beyond? Now, here's the reason for this right here. I thought this was kind of fascinating. This is a study that they did. It says when you are taller, you need more cell replications to fill your body, and this can just exhaust you faster. And that's why people that are shorter have a longer life expectancy by 7 years. Okay, so we're bringing that into the equation. If you're finding this video to be helpful and you would like to learn more about Medicare, you'll notice up here in the right-hand corner, there's an eye. And if you'll click on that eye, it's going to take you to a 20-minute workshop. I see people make mistakes all the time, and we don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we're giving you free access to this workshop. So go ahead, click the link, and learn more about Medicare. Okay, so let's look at the actual numbers. And again, you saw, and we'll just use the example of a lady who lives 87 or beyond. Okay, so now let's go back and let's talk about what we said earlier. So let's look at somebody that's 67, if they take it 62 versus age 70. We said this benefit was $2,500. That was their primary insurance amount. at their full retirement age. We said if they take all the way as early as they could, they're going to get $1,750. Remember, they lost 6% a year, which they actually lost 30% of that benefit. If they wait, they can grow it 3 more years, so they can actually grow that by 24%, which would be equal to $600. And now they're going to get a benefit of $3,100. So let's look what happens between this and this. Okay, let me grab my calculator and let's do the math. All right, so in this scenario here, we know that they could have started their benefits at age 62. And they went to age 87. Now, I understand there's going to be some cost of living adjustments, but that would actually affect either one of these numbers. So we're going to be real accurate here in our assumptions. Okay, so we have 62 to 87. That means for 25 years, they got that $1,750 and, of course, cost of living adjustments. And so let's look what they would have. They'd have 25 years times $1,750 a month. And they would have had in their possession $525,000. Okay, that's collecting for 25 years from age 62 up to age 87, again at that reduced benefit of less than 30%. Now let's compare that to if we waited to age 70. And so what would happen now? Again, we're saying life expectancy was 87. So that means they were able to draw benefits for 17 years. Okay. And they received this $3,100 instead because they waited and grew that account to age 70. So we have 17 years times $3,100 a month is going to give us $632,400. Okay. And so what's happening here is we're getting, of course, this much higher amount, and that's how it's going to be impacted here. So let's do this. Let's do the math on this just real quickly. So want to make sure that we're right on that. So I had 17 years paid out. I got that for $3,100. And that is going to be, $63,204. And so that difference is going to be $525,000 difference. So we actually got an additional, over our lifetime, $107,400. Okay? Now again, a likelihood of her doing this is very high. In fact, a third of them are going to live even beyond 90. And so you have to realize that the life expectancy matters. So take the time, not just to fall into the narrative as, oh, I think I better take it now because Social Security is going to run out of money. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the government is going to make some adjustments to Social Security to kind of beef up the Social Security Trust Fund so this can last for many, many years to come. So don't assume it's going to go away. You got to get it now. Make sure you're taking it at the right time, bringing life expectancy into the decision. And then that brings us to our fourth and final issue that we must be thinking about as well. And that's this stat here, that 95% of Social Security survivor benefits are actually going to women. Okay? Now, so let's talk a little bit about this first off. There's actually 4 ways in which we can take Social Security. One is we can just take our own retirement account, right? We also then can take spousal. And then we also have survivor benefits. All right, so the retirement account, this is money that we paid in the system, and they calculate our primary insurance amount based upon our full retirement age, and we already know that we can take earlier, we can take beyond that. That's one way we receive. Spousal benefits means that I'm taking from either an existing spouse or an ex-spouse, and what I'm eligible for is that spouse's full retirement age, and I'm eligible for 50%. Now, if I take early, I'm actually going to take a reduction of benefit. But if I wait to my full retirement age, whatever their amount would be, I would get half of that amount. Now, keep this in mind. When you apply for Social Security today, if your birthday is after January 1st, 1955, what happens is when you file, you're deeming to file for any and all benefits available to you. So if the spousal benefit of 50% is greater than your own retirement account of 100%, then you get spousal. But if your own retirement amount at 100% is more than 50% of spousal, then you're not going to take spousal. You got to take the greatest amount that's available to you today. Okay, so let's talk about then this third issue. And survivor means someone has passed away. It could be an existing spouse or even could have been an ex-spouse if you were married long enough and did not remarry prior to the age of 60. And so there's some rules about that. But what happens here is survivor benefit is actually 100% of whatever that deceased spouse was getting when they passed away. Okay, and so let's go back to our illustration. Let's say we had that person that waited to age 70, and they were eligible for a benefit of $3,100. And so what happens is, it could be that this could have been, let's say this was the man, okay? So that was the husband. And he had a benefit of this $3,100, and let's say he only he passed away at age 80. In other words, he only lived 10 years, and so he didn't really make it to that break-even point. But let's suppose his wife is younger and maybe doesn't have as much Social Security as what he was entitled to. So if she took while he's alive, then again she would only got 50%. But when he passes away, whatever he's receiving, she's going to get 100% of that amount. And so what's the likelihood? 95% of survivor benefits are actually going to ladies. And so here's my point. Men, if you have a wife that maybe, raised kids, didn't work a lot, didn't pay into Social Security a lot, has a very low amount, or you have a wife that applies in that situation that's also younger. If you exceed her by several years, well, her life expectancy is going to be much longer. So if you're able to wait until age 70, you have helped her tremendously by growing your own account. Even if you don't live long enough for the benefit, she probably will. Because why? Again, what's the stats say? 95% of all survivor benefits being paid out today are paid out to women. So you can help your wife if you can wait to age 70 and again, grow that account. So please take the time to consider these 4 different issues so that you take Social Security when you should, the very best time. Again, only 10% are planning to take at age 70, but many, many more people should do that because it will make sense for them and certainly for their surviving spouse.